Hey, everybody. Hi, and welcome to episode 118 of Carmel's Wrestling Radio Relived. And I'm here with my buddy, my dear, wonderful friend, Rich. How you doing, honey?
Hi, Carmela. Doing good. How you doing?
I'm recovering. I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but I had my identity stolen last week, and it has not been easy at all. So I'm recovering a little bit at a time. It's just a lot of work. There's a lot going. So everybody, if you pray, just say a prayer, that everything works itself out. I was just telling Rich that the the cops said to me that he had a video of the restaurant where I went on Friday. They watched it from 5 to 8, and I wasn't there. I said, wait a minute. There's not many people that look like me. Okay, number one. I said, number two, how many people have purple hair? Number three, I can show you the receipt. I can prove to you that we were there. I know who the waitress was. I can tell you what we ordered. Are you kidding me? And he's like, oh, I guess we'll have to go look at the tape again. I'm like, oh, dear God. Anyway, that's what I'm dealing with. But I want to
So
say a
sorry.
couple of hellos real quick. Thank you, honey. We want to say hi to Jeannie. Her procedure went well. She's home. Thank God. She said they did find a stone. And to be very honest, I'm not 100% sure if they were able to remove it or not. I think they did. But anyway, she's in bed resting right now. So we love you and we miss you, Jeannie. I want to say hi to Debbie. She's trudging along, my friend Debbie. God bless her. She's just starting to do things all by herself, and I'm so proud of her. You would never know that she was sick. God bless her. She's doing great. Also wanted to say a very special happy birthday to one of our listeners. His name is Johnny Westcott. I talk to him every day, every single day, every night. He calls me Miss Carmela, and he loves me, and I love him, and he's such a sweetie. Um, I want to wish you from Rich and I, and or Rich and me, I should say, a very happy birthday. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful time. And I told you we were going to say hi to you today, and we were going to say happy birthday. Um, Also wanted to say, let me see, what else am I saying today? I guess that's it. Rich, you got anything to add to hellos or anything today?
Just want to say hello today to my wonderful wife, Harriet, my brother, Michael, in Newton, Massachusetts, and my colleagues at Peace Corps.
All right, there you go. Very good. Say hello to everybody who listens to us. Like I said, we are so excited and so proud. The list is getting longer and longer, and it's just too hard to just say hello to everybody every time because I forget, but can't forget our people, that are there for us, that always work with us, always help us. We got some really super good shows coming up. Tonight we have uh Kurt Von Hess's daughter, Paige. Anybody who doesn't know who Kurt Von Hess is, you should be ashamed of yourself. He's the guy right behind Rich. Anyway, look him up. She's going to have a ton of stories to tell tonight. Also, next week, we're doing a tribute to Andre the Giant because the 19th of May is his birthday. It's also Debbie's birthday. So I will go into a whole bunch of detail about Andre next week. We also have Wahoo McDaniel's wife is going to be on our show, which I am beside myself excited about. We're going to have Joel Goodhart and hopefully Ryan Kavanaugh are going to be on our show. The documentary is coming out in July about the One and Done, the TWA documentary. And we're very excited about that. I want Joel to be on the show and discuss it and talk about it. So if any of you have any questions, hopefully everybody will be able to go to the premiere. I'm not sure how that works, but we're going to look into that as well. We're getting booked. I'm so grateful. We're getting booked like crazy, and I appreciate that more than you can know. We're already booked into June, and I'm just very excited about that. We're also going to do a tribute to China finally, because I have a lot of things I need to say about China, but we're going to do a tribute to China. Also, if there's anybody out there who wants a tribute to a favorite wrestler or a favorite name that you said, that you would like to hear or whatever, let us know. I want to say real quick that we have a congratulations going out to Gary Capetta. I don't know if you saw this yet, Rich. He's going to be at the
No,
60th Cauliflower Alley in August. He's going to receive the Jim Ross Award. He was one of the best announcers back in the day when I was young, when I was a
he
kid.
was.
Yeah, so he was one of my first guests, actually, too. So we're very excited about that. But before our guest comes on, we have a few minutes to talk about some wrestling. So go ahead, Rich, you start.
Well, there's a lot to talk about this week. I mean, from stuff that's been going on. First thing is probably the New Day. We should talk about. We should talk about TKO wanting to cut the wrestler salaries by 50%. In the meantime, Carmela, I read yesterday that Nick Khan just signed an extension on his contract through
Yeah,
2030, where he's getting $2 million the first 2 years, and then it gets bumped up to $3 million.
I know. Isn't
And
that
in the
great?
meantime, right? Oh,
No, it's
wonderful!
not
Must be
great. I'm
one.
being sarcastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm saying it must be a wonderful life being an executive
well,
as compared to an actual wrestler.
I know. I have a lot to say about that too, but I'm going to cut you off right now because our lovely guest just popped in. She just peeked her nose in, and I waved to her and she waved back. And I'm so excited. We'll talk about the wrestling when she leaves, when she's done for her time, because we do have some things we want to talk about. But as lovely and as beautiful she is, I don't want to keep her waiting. So, ladies and
Absolutely.
gentlemen, without any further ado, Miss Paige Von Hess. Hi,
Hello
how are
there. How
you?
are you?
Good. I'm Carmela, and this is my friend Rich. It's so good to
Hi,
see
Paige.
you.
Such a pleasure to you both.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We have so much that we want to talk about and what we want to hear about. I said in the beginning of the show that we're going to have Kurt Von Hess's daughter on here. And I said, if you guys don't know who Kurt Von Hess is, then shame on you. Okay. But
True.
not everybody's my age. So everybody can go on YouTube, I'm sure, and look him up. I said he's the man right there behind Rich. Okay.
He is.
So, without any further ado, Paige, let's get started and
Okay.
tell us what it was like to be the daughter of not only a wrestler but of Kurt Von Hess.
Oh gosh. I mean, since I can remember anything, my I was when I was born, my dad was already a wrestler for a year and a half.
Oh wow!
And as I got old, probably around 4 years old, I realized that my dad was a wrestler. He didn't talk about it much.
Mm,
He was under the his real name of Bill Terry, Big Bill Terry, in the local area of Toronto and Buffalo, and Pittsburgh with Bruno Sammartino.
okay.
So he eventually, he came home one day and shaved his head and
Oh,
scared me to death because I wasn't expecting. He took his hat off and he was bald, and
oh,
I cried and ran in the house because I didn't know what was going on and didn't understand. And he came in and sat me down and said, "Look, this is my work. This is what I have to do." And from there, we traveled for quite a long time. And as time went on, it was quite a difficult time being the daughter of a German heel and a very hated German heel.
yeah, exactly. Where did the name Kurt Von Hess come from?
I believe it was through Hans. Well, my dad, what he did was he went to Texas and worked for Fritz von Erich with uh, oh gosh, his name escapes me now. I think it was Billy Red Lions
Okay,
and
okay,
Waldo von Erich. So the
okay,
three of them went down, and that's when he was Big Bill Terry, and then they kind of molded him into this German. He was around a lot of German heels, and just picked that up. So
right.
through Hans Schmidt, Fritz von Erich, Waldo von Erich, they all kind of honed him, got him into his gimmick.
Okay, now you mentioned Waldo von Erich, and it's funny because you don't hear people talk about him that much. Years ago, Waldo von Erich was tag team partners with Fritz von Erich,
That's
and yeah, he wasn't around a lot. And after that, they broke up. He left. What can you tell us about him? Or like,
Um, I know Waldo continued on. He started before my dad. He's from Toronto area. I don't believe he was trained in the Hamilton hub where all the big guys were trained at that time in the
mhm,
60s. But Waldo went on to be an inventor, and he created a chiropractic chair and became quite wealthy. And I don't think he had to wrestle anymore.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
yes, and the last time I saw him, he was in hospital having hip replacement, and that was probably about 20 years ago, more, maybe more.
Wow.
And he was, known to be a bit of a grump, and this is his way. And but you know what? When I sat with him in the hospital, he was just the kindest, most loving man, and really appreciated me coming to see him. He was so
Oh,
surprised. Yeah,
that's
and
nice.
I've done that many times for a few wrestlers because my heart goes out to them.
Oh yeah, that's we talked about the Cauliflower Alley Club and their efforts and their amazing, amazing efforts that they have made for wrestlers who have hit it hard, you know.
Yes.
And I know I repeat myself over and over again when I say this, but to me it's worth repeating because fans today don't get it. They don't understand. They have no clue what it was like for wrestlers back in the day that had no insurance, that had no money. You know, these guys got paid sometimes $25, $50 a week, and that was nothing. And then they still had to take care of their families, and they still now these wrestlers have everything handed to them like a silver spoon. We were talking about that right when you came on about what's going on with TKO and all that. But let's go back to your dad for a second.
Sure.
Um, you know what kayfabe is, of course, right?
I
Um,
do now.
oh, okay. So that answers my next question then. When you were younger, did your dad ever um, tell you things or say things around you that he asked you not to repeat or explain that to you at all? I guess you just found out recently though, so right?
Well, I say recently because my dad took it to his grave. He protected the business like nobody else. You ask any old school wrestler that's
Yeah.
still with us, they'll all say that Kurt carried that, but he had such a passion for the business and protecting the business. He never spoke about it. I would overhear things in conversations as I got older because back then they're always on the phone making deals in the next
Right.
town and next promotion. Um, Most of when if I walked in a room and my dad was sitting with his partner and they're talking, they instantly would just say kayfabe.
That's right. That automatically
Done.
Interesting.
tells you to cut it right there.
And
Right.
they stop
Kayfabe
talking.
means shut up. Exactly. Stop
Yeah.
talking. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I say that too is because Dominic DeNucci and I were very, 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 very close.
Lovely
And
man.
oh God, what a great guy. But anyway, he would do that at my house. Again, long story. If you know anything about me, you would know that I grew up with wrestling as well.
Yes.
Because when I was younger, again, like we said, the wrestlers had nowhere to go. They didn't know the area, it was new. My mom and dad, who spoke Italian, with a lot of them back then, brought them to my house. They stayed at my house. My mom cooked dinner, blah, blah, blah. And that's where they stayed when they came into town. Most of them that were in the area stayed at our house. And then when my mom passed away, I took over and I started doing it. And then Joel Goodhart and I and my ex-husband Paul got together and we did promoting and we did booking and we did, radio show, blah, blah, blah. So that's how all that started. But your dad, now, from what I've read and from what I understand, your dad could have gone another way. He could have done something that could have been extremely lucrative for him. What made him go into wrestling?
Um, what happened was he was a carpet salesman at our local department store, and he was always into bodybuilding. So we had we didn't have gyms back in the 60s. You go to community centers, or he went to the local Jewish center and was working out there and ran into Dewey Robertson.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
Dewey was just getting into the business as well. And he always had my father always had a fascination with wrestling. He watched it from a child, with Whipper Billy Watson and Buddy Rogers was his favorite, and those type of characters. So he really had a passion for it. And then Dewey said, "Hey, I'm being trained by this guy Benny Lima. Do you want to come
Wow. Okay.
along?" Benny Lima was one of the main trainers in Hamilton, along with Jack Wentworth and Al Spittles.
Okay.
And so my dad and Dewey got together and went to Benny, and they trained. And then Jack Wentworth continued on with them, and they all worked together to get these guys in the factory, which they called Hamilton, because there's so many wrestlers pumped out of here in those days.
Oh, I bet. Rich, just jump in, I mean, because like we talked
Okay.
about this. You have any
All right.
questions? I'll shut up now.
Hi,
All right,
Rich.
Paige. Hi, Paige. I did a lot of research on your dad in preparation for today, and I find it interesting. He wrestled almost 900 matches in total. He started in 1957, I believe, and I think his last match maybe 1985.
Wow.
Did you and in multiple wrestling territories? Did you travel with him a lot to all these different places?
Well, Rich, my dad actually started training in 1964. You might be thinking of Carl von Hess.
Carl von Hess, maybe.
So there was a
Okay.
Carl von Hess, and then and he was in the 50s. My dad had over 2,700 matches.
Wow.
Oh
So,
my God.
and yes, we traveled with my father for 10 years and moved 17 times.
Now, how did that affect your schooling?
Wow.
Did you learn on the
Horrible.
way, or? Yeah.
It was awful because the first half of our road story, we were mostly in Canada. And my first American trip was I flew into North Carolina, and they were working for the IWA.
Okay. Okay.
And that's when the schooling really was, piecemeal together, and it was not. I mean, with the upheaval and the moving, I never had consistency on the education. So when I came back to Canada, I was way behind, like a year and a half behind.
So when you
So
came back, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, what you just told me is a perfect example that you can't always believe what you read on the internet, because I put in to some internet wrestling database, Kurt Von Hessen got all these statistics, all these matches, all these territories that had the 900. So it's real interesting that
yeah,
he actually wrestled 2,700 matches.
yeah, and I
Did he
have the
wrestle?
record. I have the record because of Vance Nevada, who is an amazing man. He is out of the West Coast, and he's involved with the CAC as well. He's an executive member, and he compiled from databases and cards, and pulled together this record of my dad's, and I've continued to find another, I think, 500 matches. He found 2,200.
Wow, that's
Well,
crazy. That's a
that's
lot of matches.
amazing.
Yeah,
That
that's
is.
And
crazy.
there's still some missing. I don't have. He was in South Africa. He was in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Puerto Rico, and I have no record of those matches either. So there's more.
Wow, that's crazy.
Did he
Could be
wrestle
well
in
over 3,000.
Wow. Did he wrestle in WWF?
He sure did. For a short stint, for senior. Very, very small pocket of time. More than likely, he was called to another territory and it wasn't working out. You had to move fast in those days to make your money, because you had to get to that next territory, because you only lasted so long, maybe 4 or 5 months.
That's
and
true.
You're
A
on your
lot of
way.
Yeah, a lot of the older wrestlers still to this day say that the WWF, because it was in its prime back then, or it's just starting out kind of thing. But
Mhm.
a lot of wrestlers, once Junior took over, a lot of them retired and left. Okay, I know that for a fact.
Yes.
You have to understand, when you're taking somebody who's basically old school, basically doing things like you said, with no gyms, no schools, no this, no that. You learned while you wrestled, technically. I mean, basically, all of
On
a
the job
sudden,
training.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, hands on. But you're all of a sudden, this young guy comes in and he's like, well, we're going to change everything now. We're going to change this. We're going to do this. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. That's culture shock to a lot of people that are old school. I remember with my mom and my dad when we were younger, and all that stuff. It was like, even when we talked to Bruno and we talked to Dominic and we talked to other wrestlers, Davey O'Hannon, they're like,
Oh,
it's not nothing like it used to be. This is not real wrestling. It's acrobats. It's this, it's that. And back then, if you got hit, you got hit. Okay.
oh, it was
And
real.
yeah, and I'm sure how many times did your dad come home with injuries?
Oh, do you know what? Early days, a lot. One time, Jacques Rougeau in Montreal got him by a bad angle with a chair shot, and my dad's eyeball blew out and came
Oh,
out.
oh my God.
Luckily, you know what? Even back then, they still had to be involved with the athletic commissions, and with that, they had to have a doctor on hand in the
Yep.
back.
They had
Um,
to. Yep.
Yes. So when that he went back to the doctor got it back in, but he had to go to hospital, obviously.
Hmm.
And my grandmother, his mother, and my grandfather were in the audience. Were watching him for the first time wrestle, and
Oh,
that happened.
oh, that had to scare the heck out of them.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my God. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine having your son pop out his eye right there in front of you for the first time you see him
Oh,
wrestle.
my
Holy
grandmother
crap.
said, "I will never go again."
No, I don't blame her. I don't blame her. I wouldn't have gone again either. And he wasn't even my son. That's crazy. Um,
Yeah, and then in torn meniscus, a
yeah.
lot of head injuries, concussions. A lot of bruises I mean, he was covered in bruises all the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, those guys back then were like a rubber tire. They never they were so well trained. And I hear of injuries today with wrestlers, and I instantly think they're not trained like my dad was trained.
No, absolutely
And
not.
you had to be like a rubber band in that ring and be loose and be easy, and it people today I find are quite careless in some senses, and my dad was very, very careful, and if anything, his opponent and his referee is who he's protecting.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, with what you're saying today, the wrestlers today have to train like in the WWE. They train at the performance center for at least a year before they can go up to the main roster. But when they do go there, the WWE calls it WWE wrestling. But that's what they learn. They learn the acrobats. They learn how to jump. They learn how to fly. They really don't wrestle. Rich and I talk about it all the time. Like we of course we have to watch all the wrestling because we have to report on it. But you're looking at these matches and you compare to what it was like years ago, and you're like, these guys, once they're done jumping off ropes and whatever, forget it. Like when years ago, they were the men were built like bulky. They were more bulk. They weren't like these thinner guys that had all these 8 packs and all that. And the women were not built like they were today. The women were solid, where
Yeah,
today they're more like models who can fly around. You know what I mean? And
I
and
agree.
that's the sad part. Yeah,
It
that's the
is a
sad part.
sad part. Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up with women wrestlers. I, you know what? I have to. I don't mean to be politically incorrect, but I say midgets because you know what? The midgets that I know, they don't like being called little people.
No, they were midgets.
They were midgets,
Yeah,
and that
that's what
was
they
the
were.
time. And they like being called that because don't call me little is what they'll say.
Exactly.
You know,
And
and,
some of
and
those people could hold their own big time.
do you know what? It's true. I witnessed. I grew up with midgets, women wrestlers like Moolah. Um, I've seen them all, and they all were tough as nails.
Yeah,
You had to be back then. It was like trenches. You were in
yeah,
the trenches back then, like
yeah,
war.
it's crazy. And that's the thing. Like I grew up with midgets like Little Beaver and that kind of thing. And these people, they went against normal sized men.
Yes,
In today's world, you don't see them that much, but if you see them and they go against a normal sized person for any reason, it's just to get beat up and make a fool out of them. And that's ridiculous. But back then they fought, they held their own.
they
And
did.
that's the thing. I would love, if if time was the way we wanted it to be, I would love to be able to see somebody like your dad in their prime today going against one of these young kids today. I
It wouldn't last.
guarantee you, dimes to donuts, one punch and knock them right out. Guarantee you.
They wouldn't last. You know, they'd be flying off the ropes doing their acrobatics, and my dad would grab them and have them pinned in 2 seconds.
Exactly. Because imagine they'd be flying off the ropes and somebody like your dad had put his fist up for real and mean it, and bang, and you're done and you're out. End of story, you know?
A real Superman punch.
A real one. Yes. Oh my God. That's so funny. Yes, exactly. And like a real Superman, too. Rich,
Yes.
go ahead. Go
Hey.
ahead. I know. I'm sorry. I can't shut up. I'm too excited because she's here. But go ahead.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
all right. Well, let me calm you down for a second, Carmela.
Okay, go ahead.
So Paige, Paige, I read a really very, very, very beautiful article that you wrote. It was on Slam Wrestling.
Yes.
It was dated March of 2024. The title, it says it's been 25 years since my dad, Kurt von Hess, died. And one of the things, I think like in the second paragraph, you referenced that it said, you write, he debuted 2 weeks after I was born as Big Bill Terry in 1966. He fought King Curtis Iukea, and it was a slaughter match, as the King would do. So I found that very interesting because Carmel and I grew up when King Curtis Iukea was
King
known
Curtis,
as Prince Iukea, and he was always a bad guy. He was always a heel. So was that a heel versus heel match? Did your dad always wrestle as a heel?
No, my dad was more enhancement baby face at that point because he was Big Bill Terry. So he was just beginning. So his first match was with King Lukia, and I've heard my dad talk about that match. He came out like a crumpled piece of paper, put it that way.
Wow.
He beat the tar out of my dad. But that's your comeuppance, you know, that's what you the price you have to pay to
Yeah.
get over in the business. You gotta do the groundwork.
Yeah. It's like making your bones, as they say, you know?
Yeah.
Prince Ikea was, let me tell you something. He was like, back then, he was like a Bruiser Brody and Abdullah the Butcher. He didn't play. He did not play. He was a very big man, okay? And his head was completely torn apart like these other guys are. And let me tell you, when he, again, you can go on the internet. I'm sure there's something. It's King Curtis Iukea. It's Iukea or something like that. But look it up, okay? He did not play. He just did not play. There were so many wrestlers that were decimated under him. Again, if we could have somebody like him in his prime today going against some of these people, even somebody, as much as I love Obafemi, but even somebody like him, they would make mincemeat out of. I'm serious, because it's the persona, the presentation, the whole thing. Like when I just watched some wrestling about Obafemi when he was in NXT, he got beat all the time. And now he's like this impossible to beat person, which is crazy because back then, like, again, like Curtis Ikea, like Abdul the Butcher, like Bruiser Brody, like your dad, these people didn't play. They were not, well, okay, tonight I'm going to be a face. Tomorrow night I'm going to be a heel. I'm going to let you do this. I'm going to let you. That's not how it was back then.
No.
They did what they did, and that was the end of it, and I loved it. I loved it for that reason. Okay, Rich, go ahead.
Your dad, correct me. Paige, correct me if I'm wrong. Your dad worked for the original Sheik?
Yes, that was his. He worked with Carl von Schatz as his partner. They are the record holder of the NWA Detroit Tag Team Championships of 5 times. My dad went on with one more with Kurt von Bronner, so my dad had 6 tag team titles just with the Sheik.
Wow.
Did you ever have any interaction with the Sheik yourself?
When I was a little girl, I used to go to studio wrestling. So my mom did not like us going to studio wrestling. So I could never go to Cobo Hall, that's for sure. Just out of protection my dad would always have on us girls, because I have a sister 2 years younger than me,
Mhm.
Allison. And, we weren't allowed to go, but we'd watch on TV, or my dad would sneak me into the Windsor TV studio, and
Aw.
I got to go in and watch the matches, and the one time I remember I was waiting in the car, and I was in the back seat, and the door opened, and the Sheik was there, and he says, "Hello, little girl." And
Aw.
I'm just like, and he's got bandages on his head and his suit on. He had this beautiful suit on. I'll never forget it. And
Wow.
he loved my dad, and he just looked at me and he says, "You look just like your dad."
You do. I'm looking at that picture and I'm looking at you. You really do resemble him. That is
Thank you.
crazy.
That's a
Yeah.
compliment to me.
Yeah. It's really, really there. You can see it,
Yeah.
But you started to tell me, I'm sorry, Rich, just you gotta cut me off, man. You got it. Because if you breathe too many times, I'm in. I'm sorry.
All
I'm
right.
sorry,
All
man.
right.
Okay. Go ahead. You want to ask another
Um,
question? There you go. Go ahead.
all right. So you're not biologically related to the Anoa'i or Anoa'i
The
family wrestling association.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm
thank
not
you.
biologically, no. But
No, you're very
during
close
our
with.
travels, we traveled together. So Afa and Sika were our family to us. My dad, and Afa and Sika, the three of them were like, well, the two are brothers, but my dad and the brothers were just so tight, to the point where we traveled together and lived in the same places, same houses, as a traveling, we had that nomadic childhood, where we're constantly moving and living in motels and cottages and wherever we could stay.
Hmm.
They were always with us, and we'd actually be like a convoy going to different territories. We've been
Right.
to North Carolina. We were up in with Gene Kaniski's promotion in Vancouver, again and then again in Pensacola, I consider my hometown.
Oh, well, as when we talked on
Oh,
the phone and you mentioned Afa and Sika, I had a really close relationship with them as well many years ago. And it's funny because the appearance that they give when you look at them, with the big eyes, the big hair, the big beard, it was scary, but they could not have been two nicer people. They were very, very kind.
That's a common thing. They were heels back. They were heels back then. Tag team,
Yeah.
in their mid 70s. And I tell you something. Any heel that I've ever met, and including my dad, they are the nicest guys behind the scenes and at home. That is like a huge exaggeration of what their real personality is.
Yeah, they're
Often
nicer than the faces, I think.
they are nice. Faces are all full of ego.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and then they get all the attention. They see my dad didn't want the attention, but he wanted the bad attention.
Yeah,
Because that's
exactly.
money in his pocket.
Sure,
But
definitely.
you know what, I got to experience Afa and Sika and their beautiful families, who are my brothers and sisters. We pulled together like one big family, and I would like Afa was a second dad to me, because when my dad passed away, he stepped right up and he says, "You know what?" He says, "I'm your dad now." He goes, "That's just the way it is." He didn't ask me, he told
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was an honor, because that's the wrestling business. It's a big family, and we all look out for each other, and we always make sure that everyone's okay. And it's very hard to have family on the road, and we always looked out for each other. And I learned so much from them, besides my dad's own knowledge. I also learned a lot from Afa and Sika, about love and family. And we had so much fun together. We go camping, we go fishing, and just it was just such a wonderful time, and I love them and that was a terrible year in 2024 when they both passed away.
yeah.
I was with Afa, about 2 weeks before he passed. I was at Sika's funeral when I saw him last, and it was just a very, very difficult day.
I'm
But
sure it was.
because we spoke every day, and he
Hmm.
would check in on me, and he would give me hell if I wasn't doing something, or just like a dad would.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But I
I get it.
appreciated that. I needed
Yeah.
somebody like that because my dad was my mentor, my everything. My dad and I were Kurt were very, very close. So Afa is probably the only person other than my uncle Sika who would have taken that role, and my dad would approve, you know.
Yes, the
So
same thing happened to me. My dad left, and Dominic DeNucci stepped right in. That's how close we were. And he always, until he passed, used to tell people that he met me when I was 12 years old, and he saw me with. He always tells everybody she was a little girl. He goes, and I see her. She always got the snot coming out of her nose, and I started laughing. I'm like, I was 12. I wasn't 3. Okay, there wasn't
it's
any.
like Afa. Afa used to treat me like I was still like
Uh huh.
this little 8-year-old girl that he met.
Yeah, yeah,
And
all the
when I
time.
was like 50.
Yeah, and that's true. And like Dominic used to say to me, like if I had a problem, or I'd call him, like even his wife Janine, they were very kind. And I would say to Dominic, as an example, I don't know, I didn't do this or it didn't turn out right. And Dominic would say to me with his hand, he'd go like this, and he goes, "Sometimes you so smart, and sometimes you so stupid." And I'd be like, "Okay, that's funny. I don't want to hear it anymore." And it was the same with Bruno. Bruno was like that with us too. He used to always call me a pest because I was always into everything. I never kept my mouth shut, as you now can see.
I love
And
it though.
I thank you. And I never was out of where I wasn't supposed to be. I was always snooping, I was always listening, and I was always like making comments, and I still do that today.
But that
I
gets
get
you far in life when you do
It
that.
does, except at work. I get in trouble at work, but I don't care. It's funny. But yeah, I was always a speaker, always, and I've been involved in wrestling and broadcast, excuse me, broadcasting and things like that most of my life. So, it's part of who I am. That's
Mhm.
why I keep telling Rich. And it's funny because Rich is a wonderful man. He has an extreme knowledge of wrestling like you would not believe. But the poor guy, if we were in person, he'd have to hit me with an apple or something to shut me up. That's why I keep saying, jump in, just jump in, or put your hand up, say, shut up, anything. And, but he's so good at what he does as well. Go ahead, your turn. Ask
Okay.
another question.
Paige, what do you do for a living now?
Now, my husband and I run a plumbing business here, and I'm in just outside Toronto.
Okay.
And I also am the benevolent director for the CAC, and I've just been newly appointed over the last
That's great.
month. And God rest his soul to Rich Ingling,
Oh,
who was an absolute gentleman, and what a sad loss that the CAC, and me personally, how I feel about him, great loss. And so I've been given that position as well. So I'm very proud of that.
that's great.
Um,
Rich was
it's
on
an,
our podcast a few times, I think 4 altogether. And he was like, without a word of lie, just agreeing with you, he was a remarkable man. We actually did a tribute to him and had his daughters on as well. And it was amazing. He was an amazing man. And we do a lot of shows and stuff like that regarding the CAC. And I want to ask you a question now, before I forget this question. But I saw that you are involved with other wrestlers' children, like JJ Dillon's daughter, and I forget honestly who the other ones are. But I wanted to ask you if you could tell us who they are. And also, I would love very, very much to have another podcast if you could get these young people. I'm saying young people because everybody's younger than me, to come on the podcast and talk about their dads and their moms. I
oh,
think that would
sure,
be awesome. Who is it
sure.
that you are associated with?
Well, JJ Dillon's daughter is Pamela Morrison. She also is involved with the CAC.
Okay.
Also Barbara Goodish, who is the
Yeah,
widow of
she
Bruce
was on our
Brody.
podcast. Yeah, love
She's
her
an
dearly.
amazing lady. They
Love her.
both are. Pamela
Love
and
her.
Barbara and I, we did a panel 3 years ago. It was called at the CAC, and it was called I grew up in something about my family's in wrestling, how to get me out of here, or something like that. And we were on a panel, the three of us, and we spoke at the CAC, and just talked about our experiences in wrestling and how it affected our lives and what our perspective was, because we have a really neat perspective that I don't think a lot of people tap into as the
Right.
families. Like I watched the documentaries on wrestlers, and they never touch in on what happened to the families during that time. Why,
Exactly.
there's many sad stories. There's many unfortunate
There's a lot.
stories. I
Yeah,
mean, I
there's a
grew up
lot of
with Luna
history.
Vachon as a prime example. Luna Vachon was with us in Vancouver, and she was a little older than me, and I was quite young. So but Butcher was there, and my dad and him were tagging, and that's what just happened. He just came into town, and they'd switch tags, and it's
Hmm.
it's all a big, I knew all that kind of stuff. I wasn't completely blind to, completely
Yeah.
to everything, but I kind of knew how everything worked. I mean, it's pretty obvious when it's,
Yeah.
you're there.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but you never question it or you get shut down, right? So that's the
Exactly.
problem.
But that's what pisses me off about today, because Vince McMahon clearly, and this is my opinion, I can't prove it, but I believe he clearly didn't want to be bothered with the commission. He didn't want to have to answer to the state anymore. And he went public and said that wrestling was entertainment, because at that point it stopped everything. Okay.
Good.
I think that should never have been allowed to happen. I don't think it should have ever happened.
I
I
agree.
think to this day, a doctor is necessary, number one. But number two, I think that it broke a lot of the older wrestlers. It really did. Like we were talking about earlier, it told them that what you worked for all these years and what you suffered for meant nothing,
Meant nothing.
because now we're going to turn it into a really big joke. Okay. We're going to tell everybody everything about it. We're going to start putting shows on TV that show what we're doing in the background. And we're going to charge you even extra money to come and see the stupidity. I
I so agree. My dad's career was ended because of that.
A lot
Hmm.
were, a lot were, and that's sad.
My dad was at Mid South when that all went down in '84,
Mm, something I think around that. Yeah.
and he was put out to pasture like he was nothing.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of that happened to a lot of the
And
older
here is a
wrestlers.
23 title champion. 23 he had. And he
No.
was like nothing.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people quit when Junior took over. That's what
Yeah.
happened. And because of that, I mean, look, what he did created an incredible income for him and his family.
Yep.
Okay. But in my opinion, what he did was done without the wrestlers in mind at all. And like you said, they were just put out to pasture like, oh, well, we got somebody younger. We got somebody who's willing to do more. We got somebody who can do more in different ways. And the regard that they once had for the fans is completely gone.
It was gone.
Completely,
Hmm.
completely gone. We were talking about not too long ago how the wrestlers used to come in the ring and sit on the apron. There were no bars, no gates, none of that stuff. We all ran up to the ring, and you could put your elbows up on the mat, and they would sit there before the match and after the match and sign autographs and yell at you and play and whatever, and
Baby
go about,
faces.
yeah, all the day, right, and go about their business. And I remember Haystacks Calhoun. I grew up with him, and he used to sit down on the ring, God bless him, and he would sign autographs and whatever. And then sometimes I remember, because I was there, sometimes he would say, I don't feel like getting up yet. Anybody else need anything else signed? And people would just run out. He was amazing. He was amazing. I used
Mighty
to,
Igor was like that too.
yeah, yeah. He was, and that's what happened when Ivan Putski kind of took over that persona. Not as good. Not as good. Okay.
No,
Nobody
I
was like
know
either.
Eric, Mighty Igor's son, would agree with that. He really, Ivan Putski kind of
Well,
changed that.
that's a whole nother cup of coffee, because that's a whole other podcast, because I was very close to Ivan Putski. And it's funny because I was just looking at, you have to understand something. And you know this because of your experiences with wrestlers. How he treated my family and myself was completely different than the reputation he had.
Yeah.
Okay. And I did a lot of research that I didn't really know about. And a lot of wrestlers did not like him. He was very hated in the back, a lot, because apparently he was an obnoxious jerk and he was disrespectful. And it's like, oh my God, I'm thinking to myself, where's this guy that I knew? You know, he came over my house for dinner. He taught my mom how to make dumplings. I mean, we laughed, we had fun. And then I turn around and I look at this stuff and I'm reading and I'm listening and I'm like, wow. And even Offensique, I know for a fact that they didn't like him either because I know, and I'm not going to say this publicly right now. I'll tell you privately and then maybe I'll bring it up another time. But I know something that they did to him in the back to Ivan. And he had talk about ribs. He was saying on an interview, oh, I never ribbed anybody, but boy, did he get ribbed. Oh my God. The wrestlers tortured him.
And the ribbing was actually to put them in their place.
Exactly.
My dad didn't like ribbing. He liked clean, fun ribbing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like one time Louis Martinez waited my dad got him in the dressing room and did something like put glue in his bag or some crap like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
something silly. I know Louis Martinez loved his beer, so he would he did my dad did something quite innocent. Do you know Louis waited a whole year to get back to him? A whole
Wow.
year. And do you know what he did?
What do
He
you do?
found out my dad was hungover and it was a matinee match in Northern Ontario for the Bear Man. I don't know if you heard of Dave McKigney.
No,
He
I
was
never have.
he passed away with Adrian Adonis and one of the Kelly brothers in that
Okay.
horrible crash in New
Yeah,
Brunswick
okay.
years and years
That
ago.
was
Anyway, he was a
horrible.
local promoter.
Right, right.
Long story short, Louis found out my dad was hungover and sent this kid to go get him some beer and a can of sardines. And he was up to wrestle my dad. Louis covered himself in sardine oil. And my dad was
Oh,
retching and trying to grab him. And he's slippery and it's just all at
oh,
once. He waited a whole year to do that.
wow. See, if I was your dad, I would have had to kick his butt real bad in the back after that.
Louis was he was he was it was so hilarious. I had many experiences with Louis Martinez. He was the
That's
funniest guy
funny.
ever. He
That's
just
crazy.
he'd take a
Go
rib
ahead.
for years.
Rich is raising his hand.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, it's better than telling you to shut up like you keep telling me I should
That's
tell you to do, which I
a
would
lot of
never
people
do.
do. A
So,
lot of people
yeah,
do.
no,
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry.
wouldn't.
Go ahead.
No, I wouldn't. So Paige, going back to your father, what would you say that his favorite federation to work for was, and who was his favorite opponent?
Oh, that's a tough question. My dad was a first and foremost, one of his first promoters was Pedro Martinez for the NWF. And that's when he became Kurt Von Hess, and he was partnering with Eric, first with the executioner, Don Lewin, and then went on with Eric the Red.
Okay.
I would have to say my dad had respect for Pedro like a son would. He was very close with him. Pedro was the one that pushed him to go to other territories, and he ended up in Calgary. And my dad and Stu Hart had a very special connection. My dad was his champion in 1971 through 72. Just had such a high regard for my dad, and my dad just loved him. Just I would have to say those two were the big ones. So I'd have to say there's two.
Okay.
Did
Got
you
more?
have it? Did
Pardon?
you have any? Did you have any favorites in traveling with your dad?
As far as of promoters,
Yeah.
I did meet Pedro later in life. I'd heard about him through the years because I could not go to the matches. He was the loveliest man. Like he was like such a gentleman. and had such great experience in wrestling and knew how to move wrestlers and make great matches and have those promos that they never have anymore, and those great promos where they scare the daylights out of you. He really taught my dad a lot, so I'd have to say that Pedro was really, and then it continued on with Stu. So Stu tutelaged my dad. My dad was still young at early days. And he really, that was the beauty of it, is that he would go to each territory and these promoters would, pull him in and get him to hone his craft a little better and better and better. And then by the time he got to the Sheik, he was on top. He was over.
Yeah.
So they went from my dad met his partner Carl von Schatz. They were together for 4 years. That was the longest tag team champion together my dad had. They were in Calgary, Montreal, and then Detroit, and then Japan with Antonio Inoki, and won the championship off Antonio Inoki. So
Cool
Wow.
stuff.
they end
Cool
yeah.
Wow.
stuff.
So and they won the America's Cup as well, or the America's America's. Oh, I can't remember. There's he won it off of oh gosh, I'm sorry, I can't recall it.
In
Yeah.
Japan?
No, he
Oh,
won Carl and my dad won it in Japan, then lost it in Los Angeles.
okay. Okay.
It was one of those things. It was like because Antonio Inoki was working in California with Gene LaBelle and those people, and I think they were switching back and forth kind of overseas.
Okay. Did you ever have any interaction at all with Giant Baba? Did you know anything about him or?
No, I didn't have any interaction. And, I always remember my dad did many tours of Japan, and that's where he was really quite a hit. I still have Japanese fans contacting me saying what
Oh,
a wonderful uh, wrestler he was over there. And I tell you, when you go to Japan, you work. You think of, the old school days of territories back then. Go to Japan, it's sped up 10 times. You expect a lot of you, but you've made great money.
Japan is a completely separate animal. Japan, even today, Japan itself, the country itself is amazing, but the way they treat their wrestlers and the way they respect their wrestlers is amazing. That's why the wrestlers love to go there so much, because yeah, you're right. They made good money,
They
but
make good money.
it was the fact that the fans were wonderful, first of all, but secondly, there's such respect between, especially back then, between the wrestlers and the fans, that the wrestlers were excited to interact with the fans, and the fans knew how to act with wrestlers. I'm a big proponent of if you made yourself become in the spotlight, then you owe the fans something. Okay. There's a lot of people that don't agree with me. A lot of people say, well, the only thing that an entertainer owes a fan is a good show. And I get angry at that, because you know what? This is not an entertainer. They're not entertainers. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear it. Okay. They're
No,
not
my dad was an
entertainers.
athlete, and then that's the
Exactly.
difference.
Thank you. And
Yes.
like, we had recent with WrestleMania, a couple incidences where a CM Punk like hit a fan. He
That
got
was fun.
mad. Yeah, he knocked the phone out of one, and then he slapped this guy in the chest real hard and knocked him over. Oh, hell no.
I saw it. The
Yeah,
only time a fan should be touched is if they come in your ring.
exactly.
If they come in unannounced and try to interfere with a match, my dad would kick the daylights out of them.
Yep. Yep.
It
I
actually
agree with
happened
that.
on TV in Buffalo. My dad was doing Buffalo TV, and a fan
Right.
came into the ring and was going after my dad, and my dad just took him and flung him out of the ring
Yeah.
whole. Like,
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with the respect and the disrespect issue. But I'm sorry. I have a completely different aspect. Like, my daughter yells at me too. She's like, "Mom, they don't owe the fans what you think they do." And I'm like, "Yeah, they do. I'm
they do.
sorry. The
They do.
fans pay their salary." Okay. And it's a shame, because in today's world, the fans have gotten so brainwashed that they'll put the money out for this stuff no matter what, even if they're not getting anything in return. And that's sad, because you can't compare what the wrestlers and the fans had years ago with what they have now.
That's true.
It's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. Okay, Rich, go ahead. You got any more?
Yeah, I do actually.
Go ahead.
With with your dad's gimmick and kayfabe being so predominant at the time, were there ever any threats to him or to your family?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, yes. I mean, first of all, he was in the Cleveland riots.
Oh, wow. All right.
So the night Ox Baker hit Ernie Ladd and or came in and he interfered. I mean, it was planned. Ox just went too far.
Yeah.
My dad got beat up that night. He got a broomstick to the head, and some fans threw. The place was destroyed. There was another time where actually we were involved in Cloverdale, BC. My dad had a match with Sika actually,
Oh.
and it went sour. And my dad would usually come out with a towel on his head and just run to his car and go.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, there was no police escort around, and the fans had already started coming out. They were the main event that night, and he's trying to get out before the fans get out, but they were already outside
Oh, yeah. Okay.
waiting. And we're in the car. My mom is in the front seat, and my sister and I in the back. And my dad I can see him coming, and people are just throwing stuff at him, like garbage and
Mm-hmm.
cups of urine. And it really, because I know that because when he got in the car, he smelled of urine. And he's just
That's a
covered
shame.
in just stuff.
Yeah,
And
that's terrible.
then the fans started rocking the car.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
so just as, and I'm screaming, my sister's screaming, my mother's screaming, my dad's, just doesn't know he can't get out of the car. He's trying to drive away. He can't do anything. And they're rocking the car. And finally the police came out and broke it up and actually escorted us out of the arena area to the main road.
That's
And
scary. That's
I have to
very
say that's
scary.
one of them. And my dad, that's what my mom said, never again are we going to wrestling. And I was so upset
No,
because I
see that,
loved
and
it.
you know what? I know, I get that, but those people that did that should have gotten their butts kicked. And I'm serious about that. That's ridiculous. They should have been arrested and put in jail because nobody deserves that.
No,
They need to no, and that's the thing. Like even today, athletes, entertainers, anybody who's in the public eye, they are there for a reason. Okay, regardless of what that reason is, they a respect should be given both ways. Okay. But like I said, I do feel 100% that the wrestlers owe the fans way more than the fans owe the wrestlers. And like I said, I don't call it entertainment. I don't think it's entertainment. It should never have been changed to entertainment. They're not entertainers. Like
no,
you said, they're athletes, they're wrestlers. Okay.
yes,
And that's who they are. I'm going to bring up real quick a lady named Susan Green. I know you have to know her.
I do.
God,
God love her, by the way. She
oh
is not very well right now.
no, oh I got to call her. God love her. I love that lady. I love her I've never met her, but she's the kind of person you just fall in love with.
Mhm.
She's just so sweet and so kind. And I saw her when I was a kid and she was wrestling. The reason I'm bringing her up, we're going back to talking about the women wrestlers for a minute. She was hardcore. I mean, she was not afraid of anybody. She was one of these solid women. She held her own no matter what. And she was as honest as the day is long. She's been on our podcast a couple of times too, talking about what she endured with the Moolah and what happened with a lot of other
Yes,
people and the Moolah and everything else. But while you're saying that, I just want to wish her well. Tex, I will call you when I'm done this podcast for sure. But go ahead. You were going to say something.
oh, me? Oh,
Yeah, about
yes.
Susan. Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as the lady wrestlers, I mean, when I was in North Carolina in the AWA, and that's when I first met Moolah. And she had her girls, like there's probably about 6 to 8 girls that she trained and took with her everywhere. And I'm fully aware of the conflict with her and what has come out in recent years. But back then, those ladies were tough as nails. They were like one of the guys.
Yeah.
You know, they, like you said earlier, like today's lady wrestlers are all acrobatic, you know, gymnastic type. Whereas, you know, back then those women could fight those men.
Yeah. And most of them today don't even know how to throw a punch. If you look, whenever they throw a punch, it's not a punch. It's like this. It's always with the arm. It's like they slide you with the arm. That doesn't hurt, you know? I
Mhm.
mean, not that I want them to hurt each other, but that's not a punch. You know what I'm
No,
saying? And
make it
and
real.
you can be as acrobatic as you want and then do an acrobat and put somebody in a pin. What's that all about? You know what I'm saying? That's not a fight. That's not a match. And not in
No.
my opinion anyway.
No, no, and see with the women wrestlers, they were pegged with the midget wrestlers. They were always the lower card. They were always paid less. They
Yep.
were always treated differently. You know, I know of women wrestlers who were shunned just for being a woman wrestler.
Yeah. They
You
were
know,
lesser beings. Yeah.
they didn't like the men, the wrestlers back, men wrestlers didn't like them in the
No.
business. And you know, they were accused of being, you know, a lesbian or whatever. That's what they used to say. Oh, she's just a lesbian. But that was the time, you know.
Yeah. But that's so wrong because you know
It is
what?
wrong. It's categorizing.
Exactly. And what if some of them were? So what?
So what?
Exactly. And what
Who
about the men?
cares?
Don't you mean to tell me there were no men wrestlers that were gay?
Pat
Stop.
Patterson, he was, you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
Phil Watson, like,
Yep. Yep. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. And
and they
some
were
of them,
open about it.
yeah. And some of them who weren't open about it were some of the ones who did the most criticizing to the
Yes,
women, you know.
you
Um,
are absolutely right.
yeah. Rich, you got any more?
Did you ever think about becoming a wrestler yourself when you were growing up?
Do you know what? I had what my dad had two rules for me: never date a wrestler and never become one. He wanted better. He wanted better for me. And that's
Very
why
good rules.
we came back to Canada to, and he says, I want you to get your education and make a life for yourself. Wrestling is not your life. It was, but not anymore.
Yeah, I get that. I get that because if I had a child, I would say the same thing. When I was involved in it or as I am now, I loved it. It was wonderful. It was something I thrived on. It's like once it's in your blood, it never leaves, you know?
It's true, you
Yeah.
know,
But if
and
my daughter wanted to do it,
no, my
Well, you
dad.
know,
See, my dad was so seasoned in the business that he knew as I would. I'm such a sensitive person, so I would get crushed. You know, I wouldn't, I wouldn't survive because I'm just such a soft person.
go ahead,
yeah,
Rich.
but you know what though? You know what? I'll bet you would have made a great heel manager.
A heel
Yeah.
manager? Really?
I'll bet you would have made a great heel manager. Yeah.
I
Hey, you know what?
don't
It's
know.
never too late.
No, it's
Never too
not. It's
late.
You
never too
know,
late.
that's
That's for
right.
sure. That's
Yeah,
for
my dad
sure.
used to make us cut promos when we were kids. So there you go.
Oh my
There you
God.
go.
I,
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question now because I don't want to cut this off. I could talk for hours because now I'm in love with you. I just want you to know that. Okay.
Oh,
I
you
I
were
am.
just
I'm
as
sorry.
lovely. Thank you.
I'm serious and you could I mean I'm not a liar. So that's that. But we are going to do I wanted to ask you if you I'm going to ask you one question and then I'm going to tell you why, but don't answer it. Okay? Just give me a
Okay.
yes or a no.
Okay.
You knew Andre the Giant as well.
Yes.
Okay. Now, next week Rich and I are doing a tribute to Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant and I were very, very, very close. So I actually dated him for 9 months. He was an amazing man.
Oh my
Yeah, yeah.
gosh.
I was like stories, honey. But
Oh, you must have stories.
stories. But we're gonna do a tribute to him because his birthday is on the 19th of May. And we want to do a little tribute. And I was wondering if you were available, if you wanted to come back and share your story of Andre with us at that time. If you can't, we'll have you on another time. But I'm just because I'm thinking about it now, and it just kind of hit me in the head, and I'm like, I'm so excited, and I have no life, Paige, so I get very excited over the littlest things, but you're an amazing person. You're an
And
amazing
so
guest.
are you.
I
Thank
could
you.
I could talk to you forever, and I know that you have a whole hell of a lot more stories than you've
Oh,
actually said.
I've just given you that much.
Exactly, which is why I'm
I could
cutting it off
talk for
right now.
hours
I
about it.
know. That's why I'm asking you, if not, of course, if not next week, but if you could come back a million more times, okay? Because I would love to ask you a ton more questions. I would
Sure.
love to maybe have, you said Pamela Morrison, is that her name?
Pamela Morrison is
Right.
J.J. Dillon's daughter.
Right. And if
Yes.
she would come with you another time, and we could have Barbara also, because Barbara is always welcome here. We
Love her.
Oh, I love her to death. And it's funny because the first time she was on the podcast, I just fell in love with her accent, and I just kept making her talk. I'm like, could you say this and could you say that? Like nothing professional at all, She was
I love the way
laughing.
she speaks. I
Oh, I
know. And
love her.
she's the
Love her.
most soft, loving person. I've stayed with her and Darla and her sister-in-law as well, Barbara's sister-in-law in a suite last year for the CAC. And I
Oh,
tell you, the best time ever. They're just
love
lovely,
her.
lovely ladies.
Yeah, and Darla was on our podcast too. She's an amazing woman, and Vicky Otis and
Oh yeah.
Susan Green. Yeah, well, I mean, I love this. Like I thrive on this. You have like I have a full-time job. I just had my identity stolen last week. I mean, I have
Oh,
a daughter who, and daughter of my friends who are sick. I have a friend who had a stroke who I'm taking care of. There's all this stuff, and then I have this. This changes everything. It makes everything okay again. And that's why I love doing it. Like I said, we don't have any big, huge following, not yet. We don't have, and I don't care because I love it. I love doing this with people like you who are
oh,
so
you're so
pleasant and
lovely.
so kind. No, I'm serious. Believe me, I'm not that nice. Rich can tell you, right, Rich?
Oh, come on. You're always nice. At least to me. At least to me you
Well,
are.
because you're nice, but I would love it very much. I would love it if you could come back again. And like I said, if you could come next Thursday, that would be great. If not, I understand, but I definitely want you back again and again and again and again. We
I
never
would
get
love to
tired.
come back. I will be on vacation from Sunday, and I'm back on the 19th.
The 19th. Okay, that's the
Yeah,
day. If no, his birthday's the 19th. That would be on his birthday.
May 19th I come
Yeah.
back. So I'll be in the ocean.
Okay. Oh, good. Enjoy the ocean. Don't worry about it. But we'll have you back and we'll have a separate conversation about Andre.
I would absolutely love to.
I would love to have you back. Bring whoever you want, bring whoever, or don't bring anybody. Come by yourself because I mean, you're welcome here all the time. You are an amazing woman. I am
Thank
so
you.
honored. We are both so honored to have you on here.
It has been my pleasure.
Oh, crazy stuff. But I mean, like when I saw your name and I'm like Kurt Von Hess, I'm like, oh my God. It's like put a little like a knot in my throat a little bit, because it brought back like so many things, so many memories again at like a rush, But
It's
yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. Well, Rich, you have anything in closing because I'm still talking. So
Oh, I just want to say, Paige, it's been an honor to meet you. And just to give you some context regarding me, I've never been in the business. I've been nothing but a fan since I was a kid. And it's been my biggest passion in life. I met Carmela back 40 years ago when she was doing
Oh,
her radio show. I mean, I am nothing but an obsessed wrestling fan since I was a kid. And it's the only interest that I've ever had in my life that I've never lost interest in. And
it's
you
hard
know,
to lose interest in that. It really is. You have to,
well,
you have a passion for it, I can tell.
thank you. And like Carmela was saying, to be able to, because I have a full-time job and a lot of drama, a lot of issues and everything, and to be able to spend an hour or plus just doing this and being absorbed in this world, it's like the outside world doesn't exist, and it's just such a relief and a pleasure. And I'm so honored
Oh,
that Carmela would even ask me to be with her on this.
oh,
So
it's my
it,
pleasure, Rich. And it's such a pleasure to meet you as well. I mean, that's so lovely of you to say. Thank
This
you.
is if we live closer together, I'd invite you over my house and we'd have some
Oh, I'd be
dinner.
over for coffee.
Oh, anytime. That would be awesome. I
Or it'd
would
be
love that.
coffee.
Coffee. In Philly, I'm from Philly, so it's coffee.
Oh,
And
sorry.
we would have what they call coffee talk.
Coffee talks.
Coffee talk.
I make fun of Afa's widow, Lynn, on Hawaii all the time because she's just a New Yorker.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always say, "You want some coffee?" And
Coffee. And it's funny because that's just how it comes out. Like I get teased at my job all the time because everybody tells me I have a Philly accent. I don't see it, I don't hear it, but everybody tells me that I still talk funny, and I say like, all the Philly stuff, like I say because and stuff like that. But
and I
it
get
is what it
accused
is.
of saying sorry a lot. See, that's the
You know
trick
what I
because I'm
like to hear?
Canadian.
Yeah, I like to hear when you say, and I noticed it every time you spoke, out, Canadians out about. Like
Out
you say,
about, yeah,
out and about.
out
I
and
love it.
about, out
Yes,
and
out and about.
about.
Let's go have some coffee and we'll talk about going out and about.
It's oot and a boot.
That is funny. I love that. I
I know
absolutely
we
love
have
that.
a strange accent up here. I know it's bizarre.
It's sweet. Everybody's got their own though. You know what I mean?
We
It's
do.
wonderful. Yeah. But you know what? Enjoy where you are, love where you are and where you're from because my heritage is Italian off the boat and believe me, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I really
Mhm.
wouldn't. Um Mother's Day's coming and my mom passed away when I was 20. I lost my whole family by the time I was 21. And
Oh, ouch,
yeah.
tragic.
So, and I've been on my own for a very, very long time. And
Yeah.
what I wouldn't give to have my mother with her little Italian accent talking to me and yelling at me again, I would give my eye teeth for that. So enjoy
Until
who
that,
you are.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about my dad.
Mhm.
We had such we were like twins.
Yeah,
We were the same temperament, the same, we just were so well connected. I could look at him and he'd look at me and I know what he's saying. Like,
exactly.
we just were so close, and it's just my pleasure to carry on his legacy like I do on Facebook and wherever I can.
You're doing a
And
great job. You
thank you
really,
so
really are.
much.
You really are. And like I said, we just want you back over and over and over again. And when we have a good guest, and the fans never get tired of it either. When we have a good guest, we never get tired of having them back. And thank you, God. Every single guest we've had, we've actually had them back, I think, almost every one of them. So we've been very blessed. And I enjoy having you on the show. You are an amazing woman. God bless you. I mean
Oh,
that.
thank you so, so much. And so are you. Both of you are so lovely. And
Thank
it's
you.
so refreshing because it's funny when I talk about wrestling to an average person, it's like I'm talking Chinese. But when I talk to
Yeah.
you guys, you're asking me questions, and
Yes. Yes.
I'm getting absorbed in it too because
I
I lived it,
know. I know, and
so
that's just it. When you've lived it, it's not you can't explain that to people. You
it's a
just
very
can't.
hard story to tell.
It is. It's a very
And it's
hard story.
a lot of people are shocked when I say that, and they're like, "What? You didn't
Yeah.
have a white picket fence in a house?"
No.
Like
Mm-mm.
somebody said to me the other day, something about going to the laundromat. And I said, I was always in the laundromat because we didn't have a home.
Exactly. Exactly. So how did you wash clothes? I mean, that's definitely, it's the truth. I remember years ago when the wrestlers used to come over our house for dinner and they were so grateful because half the time they were eating out of cans and
Yes.
sharing food in the
Sam.
car and sleeping in the car. Yeah. I mean, they'd go buy like a couple of rolls and a quarter pound of lunch meat or something. And that would be their dinner.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
the bologna blowout.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, exactly. See? I'm telling you. Oh my God, that is awesome. Paige, I got to
Yeah,
tell you, I am so beside myself. Thank you so much for being here.
it's my absolute pleasure to you both. And I will definitely come back on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I will definitely be in touch. You might get to the point where you'll say to Barbara or Darla, does this lady ever stop bothering me? And does she ever shut up? But
Carmela, keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing
thank
good.
you.
You're doing
Thank
good
you.
work.
I appreciate it. Well, we're going to say goodbye to you for now because we have some other wrestling stuff to talk about that I'm sure you don't want to hear. We have some results and everything. But
Of
thank you
course.
again so much, and I will definitely be in touch. God bless you.
God bless you both. Thank you so much.
Take care. Okay,
You as
bye-bye.
well. Thank you, Rich. Thank you,
Pleasure to
Carmela.
meet you.
Bye-bye, Paige. Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Oh my God, I love her. I do. I love her.
What a
What an
wonderful person.
amazing woman.
Seriously.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, let's go back real quick. We got a few minutes left, so we'll talk about the wrestling. It's funny you brought up TKO because I was going to do that. You go ahead now, finish because you brought it up. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I saw her popped in. So
No, that's fine. I was wondering who you were waving to. I knew you weren't waving to me, so when that happened. But yeah. But anyway, no. What I was saying is that TKO is asking the wrestlers to take 50% pay cuts. The New Day decided, well, they didn't want to renegotiate their contract, and in the meantime, they're making money hand over foot. It's really
yeah.
become, it has really become all about big corporate,
And that's
big
the thing.
corporation.
These wrestlers now, I mean, the AEW is going to suddenly start looking good, let me tell you, because these wrestlers now are starting to feel the crunch because they're not cutting back on their $62 million or their $90 million or whatever the hell they're getting. They're not cutting back on that, but they want the wrestlers to cut their salary in half. Are you kidding me? No, that's bull. And again, they're just doing it because they're looking at it as just a business. No, they're not even looking at it that.
And in the meantime, the people in the C-suite that are employed as TKO employees are making their mega millions and their stock options and their bonuses, and they probably are making more in a year that they could buy 5 houses if they wanted to.
They'll never spend that much.
Right. And they're asking the ones that do all the work to take the pay cut.
That sucks. That really does suck. And that pisses me off because look at it this way. I just heard that Will Ospreay, his neck surgery cost more than his home. Okay. That's how expensive it was. And Tony Khan went in his pocket and paid for it. Okay. The wrestlers at AEW are now going to start getting more popular, treated better, because Tony Khan recently said too, we want to be a family organization because the WWE, and I can't say, I mean, as much as I don't care for Vince McMahon, I will say that he was more family oriented back in the day. But now it doesn't matter. They'll get, and that's the thing that really drives me nuts. These people don't have money, but they'll find a way to come up with the money to pay for this. They won't eat. They'll save. They won't buy clothes. They won't feed their kids. That's ridiculous. Don't pay. Don't do it. Let them realize that they don't control you, But people, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But talking to somebody like Paige and talking about what wrestling used to be like, I wish to God that wrestling was like that again. I really do. Because these people today, the fans today, have no clue whatsoever what real wrestling was like and how family oriented it was. And the wrestlers were not only family with each other, but they were family with the fans. And that's something that fans today will never get. They'll never have it, period.
And in the meantime,
really upsets me.
Well, and in the meantime, they did those 7 or 8 releases out of the clear blue sky. They brought up some of the NXT talent, but they never. Some of the ones that they released, it's really on creative, in my opinion, to help make these wrestlers successful. And so some of the ones that were released never really got over, and I don't necessarily attribute that to the wrestlers themselves. It's more on creative. So maybe they ought to take a look at their ginormous creative staff that used to be comprised of 3 people back in the day, and maybe take a look and see who ought to stay and who ought to go from that.
Well, they're never going to do that. That's like now TKO said that they will approve all creative from now on. So Triple H, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Triple H wound up being out pretty soon. I would not be surprised.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised either. You know what this is like? It's almost like in a way, it's a flashback to, Ted Turner just passed away yesterday, and they're doing all these tributes, and you think about what Ted Turner did for the business, and when you think about WCW, and when Eric Bischoff came in, he was up against the CNN executive executives that didn't want to have anything to do with wrestling, and they had these things that these allocations that they would charge to WCW's books to inflate their expenses. And Bischoff didn't stand a chance because it was the corporate CNN people that were against them. And it's like what's happening now gives me flashbacks to what was happening back then.
Right.
And
it's sad.
WCW.
Yeah. It's really sad because now the fans are going to be lost all the way around. The fans are getting pushed out and they don't even realize it. They really don't. And it's a shame. Because when Stephanie made that slip, or maybe not slip, the comment about the VPN to watch the wrestling, she knew what she was doing, and she knew that it was getting too expensive for the fans. I believe that she knew what she was doing. She said it on purpose. And I think that, and I think that it bothers them a lot. I think it does. I believe that as time goes on, the wrestlers will be put under the hot light more and more and more and more, until they lose. I think ultimately what they want to do is they want to get rid of everybody that they have now that's on top. And they want to bring NXT up, because it's just like any place of employment. Every time the bosses have to get a raise, the money always seems to be there. But when the employees want a raise, it just quite isn't there. But when you get rid of the old people, okay, you can bring the new ones in and pay them even less. So that is what I think that's going to happen. A lot of the people are starting to go. And don't be surprised as they age, they're going to be let go. And the young ones, NXT is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. And those young people are going to be the new quote unquote world in the WWE. And wrestling as we know it, in my opinion, will be gone. It's going to be a bunch of acrobats, like a little carnival or circus. And and I feel sad about that, because doing a show like we did tonight brings back such memories. And yeah, I'm an old head. I am. I know that. I don't need people to tell me what my faults are, but I'm proud of that. I'm proud of who I am. And I miss those days. And they were wonderful. And the fans today, they don't know. They don't understand. They'll never know it. They'll never know it. And that's the part that's sad. Very, very sad. So that's pretty much it.
Agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, what?
When you think, I mean, right? Backlash is this weekend, right? Does anybody care?
No, I'm not going to watch it. No,
I mean, seriously. I mean, no. I mean, there's nothing with Backlash that is remotely enticing to me to even. No, nothing.
No, it's not.
And I think
the biggest thing that they have, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think they've rushed this whole Jacob Fatu thing.
That's the biggest thing they have. I was just going to say that. Yeah, they rushed it because it's not going to be anything. It's not going to wind up being anything. They're talking Obafemi already. Okay. And now, from what I read and from what I heard, Roman Reigns is being taken off of some of the June shows already. So what's going to happen?
Heard that.
Yeah. So what's going to happen now? Who knows? You know? And like I said, I watched Obafemi when he first came on. And like I said, I love him. I do. But he got his butt kicked all the time. Same size as he is now, you know, and little people beat him, you know, and I don't know. Like, I don't know where they're going with all this stuff. It's a shame, because if we were bookers, man, we could have an empire that would never stop. I'm telling you, we could beat the WWE. Could you imagine you and I getting together and beating the WWE? That would be so cool. Then I could die happy.
All we need is a financial backer, like have like Tony Khan, just take a couple extra million.
There you go.
Tony
Khan.
Yeah, I'm like, Tony, are you watching? Are you listening to us?
Exactly. I mean, every time, right? Every time I go on Twitter,
I watch AEW.
I love AEW. I do watch it and I do love it. I don't care. But I do. Every time I put my podcast up on Twitter, I put at Tony Khan, at Will Ospreay. I mean, one day they're either going to say, I hate this lady and she should stop being an ass, or they're going to say, let me see what it is. And maybe it'll be the one that they'll like. Who knows, you know? But I think now Will Ospreay's in Japan. I think he went there for a reason. That's why they pushed the neck injury. Remember, I was saying the neck injury was getting on my nerves. Well, now I know why they pushed it, because he had to go back to Japan, and he's doing great. He loves every minute of it, but he'll be back. So, and then we'll just take it from there and see what's going to happen with the Death Riders. I'm hoping that he doesn't turn heel. That would really bother me, but I don't know where they're going with this. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Well, when he first came into AEW, he started out as a heel with Don
He did.
Callis.
Yeah, but everybody likes him too much.
He
as a
did.
face.
Now, I saw, I think it was on Collision last night, he did an interview,
Yeah.
and he said that he's not going to join the Death Riders, and he's just doing this in order for him to help heal his neck. So
yeah, but I don't know. That
'cause
don't
I don't
sound
like
right.
people-
It don't sound right. They're helping him for a reason. You know that ain't going to turn out right. You know that, right? So I don't know.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
All right. Well, next week, Andre the Giant. Okay, I'm very excited about that. We're going to have Paige back on again, because so we could talk about her meeting of Andre. And I'm excited. I'm excited about next week. There's a lot to talk about. So everybody, Rich, we have to cut this off. I'm tired. I'm old. I'm tired. But anyway, thank you so much. Thank you. I love having you on. You're amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Jeannie, please get well. You know we love you and we're thinking about you.
Yes,
Debbie, her too as well. And you know what? Just thank God for this show. And I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful for everybody who listens, everybody who watches. You guys are the best. Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Okay? Mwah. See you later. Okay, let me get up here. Okay, bye-bye.